Ooh, the best thing about green screen, I get to wear Spider-Man shirts again because a little bit of blue, a little bit of blue. But I have to put away the turtle shirts again. I can't win. Bet this looks weird too. Okay, people, welcome back to another Foosh Weekly. As always, I'm Robo, and today may feel a bit disjointed. Well, hopefully, if I do my job right, you won't notice a difference at all. But I probably will, and every time I notice something, I've got to call it out. I'm recording the bulk of this on Friday morning, which is nothing out of the ordinary. I usually wake up, get caffeined up, get in front of the camera, toys. Then I go from here and start editing, which again is usual Friday fare, but oh, Hasbro. They scheduled a live stream for 3 p.m. Eastern, which is right in the middle of all of this. But I can't blame them. It's a 10/27 event. It's their address, and it's today's date. Because I record these Friday, keep that in mind. So I'll stop what I'm doing, watch that, pull out all the goodies, and then come back in here, record, start the whole process over, splice it into what I already have. And again, it may not be noticeable, but I'm gonna be like, oh, my beard is a little bit different. I'm standing in slightly different position. Oh, the lighting is, nah. But I can already hear what you're thinking. Oh, boo-hoo, Robo has to stop talking about toys to listen to somebody talking about toys so he can talk about more toys before the next event. Too bad that next event is in 12 hours, but we'll get to that at the end. Let's start things off with a little tease from LooseCollector. Boy, I leaned way in for that one, didn't I? Tease! Iconic Heroes series, huh? I've gotten so used to seeing female characters and monster types from LooseCollector that this actually threw me off a bit, but I'm not complaining. That is not a negative. I don't really have a guess for the left pick, dude in jeans and jackets, but I'm pretty sure the right one is Grindel. Gotta be. The blacks, the whites. Does that mean these are specifically Dark Horse characters? Or is he just taking all kinds of comic book heroes and smashing them into this series? First glance, I got Toy Biz legendary comic book hero vibes. You know, where you don't know what to expect out of the line. It could be anything. But then again, thinking back to those, whew, proportions wise, I'm looking forward to this, is what I'm trying to say. Let's see where this goes before we get to, well, why did he do that? Why was that decision made? I don't know why I went to this voice. Robin, we have to catch the Joker. From teases to unexpected variants, THreezero announced their Transformers MDLX Megatron comic book edition this week, and I'm torn. Not with the build or the quality here. We already know that this line is damn beautiful in hand. It's just, oh. The finishes, the sculpt, the designs themselves, the die cast, the range of motion, everything is just a joy to handle. And for the most part, I've really dug the updated interpretations of the G1 appearances. They're taking the 80s feel and just dragging it into the 2020s, kicking and screaming, baby. One thing I didn't care for, though, was their Megatron. I know this is gonna be super nitpicky, but they gave his chest some bulk, some bulge, some shape, and that just hit my eyeballs all kinds of wrong. My personal preference is that flat plane. It's just one of those physical attributes that makes him so Megatron. Now, again, we get the pre-order for the Megatron comic book edition, which isn't really that different. The most visual change is the gunmetal parts, most notably the helmet part. This did throw me off when I was a kid. I was like, do they not know what Megatron looks like? Why are they doing this? Seeing it now, though, in physical action figure form, for some reason it just twangs the old nostalgia strings. It's one of those figures that I didn't know I needed until it manifested. More than that though, at least for me, is that they modified the chest piece this time around. They didn't make it completely flat, but they took out some of the contours to make it seem flatter. It still looks a little bit like a car front end, but without those details to make you think car front end, if that makes any sense. Otherwise, it's just the first figure with a few paint tweaks. The reason I'm torn is that while I would love to have this, I don't think this would be my main display Decepticon leader. Perfect world, this chest would be on the first version, and then that version's chest would be on this. Because you're already changing a few things to make it that comic book look. That's where you do the redesign and make them more peckier. His pecs were the peckiest pecs I've ever pecked. But given the prices on these, I don't want to buy both at this point and attempt a swap, if that's even possible. I just have so many trials and tribulations today. NECA posted pretty promotional pictures of their Universal Monsters glow-in-the-dark Dracula this week, and this may be my favorite Remco homage yet. Saying that, I don't collect this line. I admire it from afar. I window shop it. When I'm at Vive's house, I look at his collection and go, those are pretty sweet. I think it's the vinyl robe cape thing. That is the fastest way to make a modern figure feel vintage. And I know it's been done before, but this is Dracula. It just hits a little different. This is a NECA store exclusive that hasn't been posted up yet, so if you're interested, keep an eye out for that. Flip side, Target has a page open for the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Universal Monsters crossover Leonardo as the Black Lagoon. Help! I'm drowning! The Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Universal Monsters crossover Leonardo as the creature from the Black Lagoon, but it hasn't actually been pre-orderable yet. Since it's went up, it has always said, at least until the time of this recording, out of stock, so don't freak out yet. We have seen this figure at shows before, but it's always nice to get the promotional images where there's better lighting, there's close-ups, there's no glass between you and it to have reflections bouncing back at you, and it's not such a sensory overload. That figure in the middle of all these figures where you're looking at everything. So now that I am looking closer, this one isn't as much a stretch as some of the other mashups. Don't get me wrong, all of them are blended super well. It's just that the creature design just kind of merges into the turtle's lane almost seamlessly. You close your eyes a bit and then glance real quick. It's just Leonardo with some big candy lips. But then you open your eyes and take a closer look and yep, there's creature features. The scaly skin, the flippers and claws, the gills, the accessories. I like how they've merged harpoons and swords together to make something brand new, but it's familiar. It works. And the netting as the chest strap is just inspired. It takes this and this and part of me does wish that NECA didn't restart with the turtles themselves to continue the Universal Monsters crossover. I wish they had pulled other characters to do this, but at the same time, there's a precedent here. That's the way the Playmates line did it back in the vintage days. Plus, it's the turtles. I mean, to collectors who buy most everything and keep track of all this, it's, you know, more turtles. Why can't they give us so-and-so? Or so-and-so from the background of this character, but to everybody else buying these, like on the shelf at Target, it's like, oh, okay, that's a cool mashup. I didn't know about this. They just work. Personality-wise, appearance-wise, so, I mean, there you go. McFarlane Toys hit 2 absolute DC Multiverse homers this week, starting with Wonder Woman. This is what collectors have been screaming about for a while. A classic Wonder Woman. Not armored up, not movie, not pulled from this alternate dimension, classic Wonder Woman. The reds, the golds, the blues, the shield, the sword, the bracelets, the lasso, classic Wonder Woman. And yeah, I know the knee looks a little bit weird in this picture, but it's the same knee as the other knee, just bent and shadowed up. The light is hitting it a little wrong, so your eye is right there. You can't focus on that. Look at the pretty background, the composition, the figure itself. There you go. Classic Wonder Woman. Absolutely needed. But then McFarlane Toys showed off Lobo with Dog and Space Hog, and Whew. I have the first release of Lobo, the single-carded version, and I still sat up in my chair and went, I need that, or that. You know what I mean. I was like, looking at my screen at my computer. The main man himself seems to be the same body, just with 2 new heads. The original release had a heavy bruiser Angel from Buffy type look to it. Now there's a head with a Motorhead Lemmy feel, classic hair with a big grin. But I think I like the Wayne Static do with the wide open mouth and crazed look. And yeah, the guitar is included too. In the original picture, it was kind of hidden behind the bass under the motorcycle, and I thought, well, that's a weird looking gun, but no. Going back to his ride, it is beautiful. The sculpt is sharp, the blues are tasty, just crisp looking all around. And bigger than I first imagined it. When I saw the pictures, I thought, cool, bike, yeah. But the more I thought about it, that original Lobo is a big figure, and he looks engulfed here. And then, like I said, dog in a leather cap and a very relaxed pose. That changes things up in case you do have the DC Universe Classics version. That one's very stiff, standing, no extras, good sculpt, does look nice, but this, it's different. You can mix and match. You can put in different displays. As I'm recording this, it just went up for pre-order on Amazon. If you missed that down at the bottom, it is an Amazon exclusive. Link is in the description. DC rolls us into one of this month's Medicom MAFEX offerings, the movie Black Adam. I saw the film, it was okay. I think I'm more interested in the costume designs. I was like, oh, that's very classic looking, and that feels comic booky. Yeah, that's cool. So this looks pretty good in that aspect. It is a big muscle guy. The tatters to the cape, the sculpt on the costume, the fade to some of the golds, it looks good. Hood is a little bit cumbersome looking, but again, in the flick, it was heavy, and sometimes that translates oddly to a smaller scale. Take it off though, and you're met with a Dwayne Johnson likeness. Maybe it's because we've been, or well, at least I've been looking at The Rock for 25 years or so now. That looks okay. It's one of those faces that's just burned into our heads, that any little thing that's off, our brain picks up on. The people's eyebrow does help a bit since it's so signature, but I think I like the Power Electro eyes the best because it gives the most Black Adam vibes, not The Rock in a skin-tight Black Adam costume. I am way more interested in the Medicom MAFEX Marvel Comics Daredevil, and even then, I can only speak for myself, but even then, I'm passing. The look is there. Matt Murdock in full Daredevil gear. The billy clubs, the tortured look. I love the shades of red. The darker bodysuit with the slightly lighter gloves and boots and logo and eyes. It gives that slight contrast that I want in my Daredevil figures. Medicom tried their damnedest with the accessories too, stretching the club possibilities to the max, to the fullest, as far as they could go. There's 2 sets with posable line, the shorter with a hook for swinging. There's 2 fighting clubs. And then instead of making an empty pouch to store them, there's 3 swappable versions. It comes off as padding the package, like, oh, look at all the accessories it comes with, but in the long run, it does look better than having removable sticks in an empty pouch. It keeps everything condensed. My biggie is the proportions. And this is gonna sound weird. I like Daredevil thin. He's athletic, but agile. And I'm a big fan of the MAFEX articulation. But for some reason, those 2 things put together here, it hits me kind of wrong. I can't say it breaks the figure up too much because it's not that different from other MAFEX figures. Maybe it's the poses, because in some instances, you know, they do a job of hiding it, almost Revel-Techy, you know what I mean? Because when they take the figure and stretch them out, that's when you start to see the gaps and the dead space and the thinness to some of the limbs. It comes off as one of those blank figures that you order for customs. Which is the essence of Daredevil's costume anyway. It's just a skin-tight suit. So why wouldn't it look like that? And again, I don't know why I'm thinking that, because Cyclops is kind of the same concept. Maybe he's a little bit bulkier, or maybe in those photo shoots, Cyclops is usually a bit more reserved because, you know, he's not doing flippy kicks and jumping through the air and falling from buildings and such. He's just shooting eye beams. Daredevil, gymnast. you want to show off all the poses, and maybe that's it. The problems in my life continue. I guess I'm just happy with the Hasbro Marvel Legends 3-pack version. It doesn't have quite the contrast that this does, but standing there, yeah, okay. But if you're interested in an import Daredevil, I ain't stopping you. Don't let me hold you back. Speaking of Marvel and DC, I noticed some new Modoking 1/12 scale model kits that I hadn't seen before. I want to say I talked about their Dark Knight Batman a while back, but I cannot find any evidence of that. I've searched through my folders back to 2018 and could not find the pictures. So I don't know if I imagined that, or if I saved them at one point and forgot to talk about them, or didn't make it to it one day or something. Quickly, it's a 6-inch Dark Knight Batman pre-painted model kit. Nice looking unmasked Bruce Wayne, wired cloth cape, ample articulation, $31. Then there's the Bat Signal pre-painted model kit, working light, $22. Notice I said pre-painted. I think it's gonna come off kind of like the Bandai figure kits, where each piece is molded in the correct color. And then things like faces do have some printing on them. When it comes to weathering or battle damage or chipping or shading and stuff, that may still need to be painted. Like gravity. They need a little push to look right. But I don't know, I've never experienced a Modoking kit. But I think these new kits are popping up because Batman and the Bat Signal are now scheduled for a January release. So that's right around the corner. We gotta show more stuff. Although there hasn't been any more word about the 1/12 scale pre-painted model kit tumbler and Bat Pod that were announced about the same time as the Batman and the Bat Signal. Which is too bad because those look amazing. I mean, apparently the Bat Pod can fold up and store inside the tumbler. That is insane. Looking up all this again for reasons that we will get to, I also ran across this Ben Affleck Batman from The Flash. These are the only pictures I could find though. No actual model kit, just kind of concept art. But there's also the bike here, which I don't know if it'll be offered as a 2-pack separately. What's going on there? The reason I went down this rabbit hole though is because somewhere, some show, Modoking did show off some Marvel model kits. For live action, there's a Tom Holland Iron Spider with 3 alternate heads, several sets of hands, and webs. I like that this shot shows the piece breakdown. It's not quite like the Bandai model kits that come in halves. I think a lot of these parts are already put together to where you're just kind of plugging things. Maybe. Again, I have no experience here. For animation, there's Gwen and Miles. Gwen comes with a dimension hopping portal and several different mask expressions, along with an interesting spider sense attachment. Miles, 4 swappable heads, backpack, webbing, and power effects. Those all look awesome, and because they're model kits, I may try to jump in there, but the one that's catching my eye is Superior Spider-Man. The web lines are cleaner than I prefer. I like that later messy look that he went with. It's more spider webby and sinister, kinda, but this totally works too. Everything else this comes with far outweighs that nitpick. Again, all kinds of nice accessories like 3 alternate heads, web effects, that spider sense representation, and a spider bot. Oh, and the Waldos. Do not forget about the Waldos. I mean, Iron Spider also has Waldos coming off his back, but there's something about the Superior Spider-Man Waldos that was... It goes back to the rough webs look. It's spidery looking. And this is gonna look sleek as hell in that black and red color scheme. No idea on release dates or prices. There's no actual pre-orders up yet, but I gotta think, even with all the extra stuff, it's gonna be under $50, taking into consideration the prices on the Dark Knight Batman and the Bat Signal. Now, Hasbro, how you gonna treat me today? And look at that. Spider-Man transitions us nicely into Hasbro's Marvel Legends reveals from today's Pulse 1027 live stream. Well, I say live stream, it was pre-recorded. It was recorded. In fact, it leaked a little bit early, but I was in here doing this stuff. So I kind of, and then I had to wait for it. All 3 are retro-carded releases, so there's no mystery Build-A-Figure to wonder what's going on, what's happening, what's here. It's just retro card, figure, what you see, what you get. If you need it, cool. If not, pass on by. There's more coming in the pipeline. I'm not familiar with Last Stand Spider-Man, but I also have nothing against it because it's an interesting look. Okay, I say that. Maybe in my brain, not so much for Spider-Man, but I'm looking at this as custom fodder. The loose leather look with the jacket and the collar and everything. I can make some things out of that. I love a good villain, so them showing off a new jack-o'-lantern, that's right up my alley. Now, I have the old one on the shelf, but at this point, it's scrawny, it's gangly, it's outdated, so gimme. This one feels more comic book, although they were quick to point out that there's been several people to wear the jack-o'-lantern costume. So, the old one could be one character with the broomstick, the new one could be a different character with the pogo ball. I got the ball, I'm a pogo ball master. Nothing wrong with that. In fact, that's not a bad idea. And then to add more Spider-Mans to your Spider-Mans, they updated Scarlet Spider to one of the newer bodies. And this makes me think I'm finally gonna bite on this version of the costume. I'm not the biggest Riley fan, and I've skipped many a figure based on him, but with this being as articulated as we know it is, and coming with all those hand options, and I may or may not have a Rebel 10 Custom Soft Goods hoodie that I've been looking for a Scarlet Spider to put onto. And this is cheaper than the MAFEX I was about to get, so look at that. It's all coming up, Robo. My problems are finally over. For now. Oh, and look who's up early. My RoboSense must have went off because I woke up bright and early and got on my phone, and there were the Marvel Legends reveals from MCM London. Those are Tombstone, Spider Shot, and Hallows Eve. Tombstone is the version that I wanted the first time around. Well, I'm okay with the black collar, deep V-neck thing, but my Tombstone always wore a suit, so I did customize one, but this looks good too. I may pick this up. Spider Shot is Assassin Spider or something like that. I remember it being an Alex Ross design, and then they brought it in, and he has guns in his web shooters and stuff. Either way, it's a nice looking Spider-Man design. It's another one of those that I always thought, I would like that in action figure form. Okay. And then Hallows Eve, not familiar at all, but I did a quick Google search before coming out here, which is rare, and it's kind of a neat concept for being such a modern character. She comes with 2 masks, but I see the potential for customizers and 3D printers and third parties to give us all kinds of options for this. Plus, it seems I only have this one picture at this exact moment. This is the last update I'll be able to do to the weekly, but it looks like a very nice female body, kind of like Shriek. I may end up with quite a few of these in order to make other characters. The G.I.Joe Classified Series team had not so much a reveal, well, okay, they had 2 name-only reveals. There's Raptor and there's Iron Grenadier. I don't have a lot of experience with Raptor, but he's what I love about G.I.Joe Classified Series. There's a military aspect, but then there's also the sci-fi, there's the wacky, there's guys in bird suits. And then Iron Grenadiers is just another good army builder. Something to add to all the other troops we have. Then we saw a physical copy of the Vamp with Clutch, and they went through the whole process of taking it out of the box and putting it together, and the tires, and going through the features. There's actual decals for mirrors on the side and the dash layout, and then for Clutch, his tattoos and tool belt and just everything we get with that. It's not a huge surprise because we saw the digital reveal back at San Diego Comic-Con, I think it is, but it's always nice to get further down the line with the reveals, see more, and then lock it into pre-order, which is happening today. But if you're watching this on YouTube on Saturday, it was yesterday. It was just, hopefully you got your pre-order in. And then there was Star Wars. Not actually. Star Wars was between G.I. Joe and Marvel Legends, but I moved everything around because there's more to talk about when it comes to Star Wars Black Series. Because they did some reveals earlier in the week, and then they had a couple reveals for the live stream. So I'm gonna shuffle that around too, because I have different levels of excitement for each reveal. We're going to start out with a stripped down version of Starkiller from The Force Unleashed. Now I say it like that because this had an exclusive version already with extra lightsaber, extra hands, lightning effects, stormtroopers. But at that time I thought, well, that is a high priced set that comes with a lot of stuff. surely they're going to have a mainline release with just the figure itself, maybe an accessory or two, and that's... I should have bought a lottery ticket. No, a lot of people predicted the same thing, so hey, we're all right. Yay, we all should have bought lottery tickets. I wish he came with at least the other lightsaber from the set, or one or two accessories, but Black Series gonna Black Series. Nope, I don't think I need another Darth Vader either, but if you go back in time a bit, remember when we used to say, well, there should always be a Darth Vader available at retail at all times. You know what I mean? And now that we're at that point, it's like, good Lord, another Darth Vader. I think it's because older ones can be had for a fair price. So getting this, it allows new collectors to get a Darth Vader because, honestly, Darth Vader should be out there all the time. But there's also oversaturating the market. Although I say that not knowing aftermarket prices on some of the older Vaders. But we had the Obi-Wan Vader, which was pretty sweet. Then we had the battle damaged one where Anakin's peeking out the helmet. Here's this A New Hope version, which I don't know if it's any different than some of the older ones. I've got Darth Vader clutter in my head. Honestly, where we're at with the Black Series Darth Vaders, they can go toe-to-toe with a lot of the imports. I said a lot. Put it back in your pants. Even though The Mandalorian hasn't been around near the years that Vader has, I feel like it's kind of the same situation. There should always be a Mando available. But this is an odd release. Here, there is already a near identical Hasbro Star Wars Black Series Mandalorian up for pre-order right now. This is the Glavis Ringworld Mandalorian from the Book of Boba Fett that went up for pre-order in May and is due to release in March of next year. This is the Mines of Mandalore Mandalorian from The Mandalorian Season 3 that went up for pre-order this week and is set to release in May of next year. See the difference? The Book of Boba Fett Mandalorian has a cloth cape and a jetpack. The Mandalorian Season 3 Mando has that plastic cape that has plagued most of the Mandalorians so far in this line, and no jetpack. Maybe that's what they're going for here? Appease the people who hate cloth on their action figures? That's the only thing I can think of. Well, okay, the sheens of the armor may be slightly different too. The Glavis Ringworld Mando's armor looks like a brighter silver than Mines of Mandalore, but it also seems to be under a way brighter light. You can do what you want, but I'm going for the Book of Boba Fett version. I like the cloth cape, it's got the jetpack, and the reason for getting another Mandalorian is because they've updated the shoulder, some of the sculpt. The shoulder pads are now on the ring-arounds that allows it to move freely from the arm. And I thought to myself, you know what, self? You need your 20th Mandalorian for the shelf. I don't know if it's 20, but I'm pretty sure it's damn close. Then today's 1027 gave us Paz Vizsla. Again, I just talked about some characters needing to be evergreen at retail, but I don't think the Heavy Mandalorian fits that bill. It has been a long time since the first release. I think it was it Mandalorian Season 1? It was one of the first figures released, but then there was a credit collection, and there was a carbonized, and there was an exclusive helmetless version, and now they're going back to the first version. Same paint job, same sculpt, same everything. But no Build-A-Figure, no reason for me to pick it up again because I have the figure arts, I have the unmasked, and I have the first version. So I don't need this. I'm more interested in the Pulse/Disney Store exclusive Mace Windu and 187th Clone Trooper 2-pack. Mace seems to be the Walmart exclusive Clone Wars version without the shoulder armor and robes. And then I'm always down for a new flavor of Trooper. The purples just look good. Not very army builder friendly though, it being a 2-pack and exclusive. But if I were to get 2, I could probably come up with some kind of custom Jedi to put on that Mace body, especially with those armored forearms. And then I'll just be happy with 2 troopers in this color scheme. Yep. Happy. But that's not my most wanted for this week. No. My brain is already bursting at the thought of repainting and putting a new head on that new fantastic astromech body to give us R46DO. I'm having a hard time sticking that name in my head because I didn't even know what this was from when they first showed it. I mean, the package does say Mandalorian, so I had a starting point. From there, I realized, oh, this is Greef Karga's droid from Mandalorian Season 3. Wait, dang it, we only have Greef Karga from Seasons 1 and 2. We don't have the bright red robe one to go with this astromech. My problems have come back. I don't know what to do. Still, this is exactly what I wanted. More astromechs now that they have a great body for them. An R4 unit, a new head sculpt, do all the colors. Even other blink and you miss it droids. Can we also get Karga's weird-headed copper 3PO unit? Because I will buy that too. But Hasbro, use the good body you have. The 3PO from the well, with the forlom arms with extra articulation that you used in the 2-pack with Chewbacca from Amazon, not the reverted back to crappy body you used for the last Archive edition. Did that all make sense? That was just stream of consciousness. I'm trying to remember all these, and you build them up, and then you tear them down, Buttercup. It's just, come back, go back. Do the right thing. All that nearly made me forget to mention that R4 6DO is a Walmart exclusive and will not be available until next spring's Collector Con. So all we have till then is just pretty pictures. And that's all I got. That's the best I can do. I don't usually try to update the weekly this close to its scheduled release on YouTube. I'm 3 hours out, and YouTube has to have a little time to process. But man, I wanted to talk about those Spider-Man figures. I wanted to get those in here. If there was anything else shown at MCM London, we'll swing back around next week. Because, did they do G.I.Joe? Star Wars? Anything new there? If you're on Patreon, you got a different ending. But, like I said, I woke up early. I thought I'd throw this in. Update. My chroma key was terrible, so I was able to fix that. And we'll see how this goes. How does this end? I'm kind of floundering here. It is super early. I got out of bed 30 minutes ago. It's not even daylight yet. I'm not used to shooting at this time.